This is the Open Mic Podcast. I'm your host, Noah Jones. Today I'm excited to have Alan Hill, a.k.a. Kid Kulture, back on the show with us, as well as his brother, Aaron. Before we get underway, I'd just like to ask the listeners to consider heading over to sourcemembers.com and help support not only this podcast, but Richland Source as a whole. Richland Source exists to tell the whole story of the communities that we serve and to uncover, through our journalism, effective responses to issues that hold us back on our true potential. We believe that a newsroom that listens to its audience can create a real value and change through journalism. Your membership says you believe that supporting independent local news means a better community for all of us. Memberships are as low as $5 a month and come with benefits such as discounts on coffee, and all Richland Source memberships include occasional free tickets to shows and events around town. And of course, the coolest part are the free coffee mugs. So what are you waiting for? Support local journalism. Welcome to the Open Mic Podcast. I'm excited to have you both here. How are you guys doing?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. So we're here to talk about a few things because you guys, since you were on the podcast in the very beginning, I think you were like episode 3. You're one of the originals. Yeah. You've done quite a lot musically. You've released Black Suburbia. You've come out with a new song called Get the Bag, which is great. We've actually talked about it once during our end of the year review. Mm-hmm. And so I'm excited to sort of get more in-depth stuff about that. But do you want to just sort of talk a little bit about, as a whole, how your musical year happened?
This year, a lot was like a lot of finalizing, I'd say, with our sound over the summer. But like even more so back in spring, we were just doing like hammering in a lot of recording. So we just took out a decent amount of time, me and Aaron did, just to record. So we were telling people, we don't really have a whole ton of time to be doing all sorts of different things. And that's kind of like with Get the Bag, like actually honing in on your time to create new music and really hone in on what you want to do for your sound is kind of what that's about. But that's what we were doing this year a lot.
Have you guys felt like your sound has changed? I guess maybe I just haven't noticed that it's still at the very basis jazz with sort of rapping over it, but how do you guys feel like your sound has developed over the course of your tenure, I guess, as musicians?
I kind of feel like overall the trio's actual sound has changed the most, but we haven't necessarily released like another project yet, so people may not have really kind of noticed that just yet, but that kind of starts to show somewhat in a lot of Alan's stuff because I also kind of produce both projects.
Right.
So I don't know. I guess it kind of has an effect on both, but I'd say the trio sound has really kind of grown a lot more than where his was because we kind of just took some time and really tried to figure out what he wanted to do.
Yeah, what my sound was.
So he kind of came out the gate with his sound sort of intact, and it's kind of been fairly consistent since he released Right Now, and that was, what, a year ago? Or 2 years ago?
Yeah, it was a year ago.
Okay.
Yeah, so can you just give us a little bit more detail of what the changes in sound are? I realize that we probably don't have a track to compare it to as opposed to other stuff, since you said you haven't released any new stuff since the change has happened, but can you just give audience a better idea of what you mean by that?
I guess kind of from the start, we just focused more so on the jazz aspect of what we were trying to do. So a lot of our arrangements were just kind of really complex because since we don't actually have like a guitar or a keyboardist or anybody that's actually providing any sort of chords, we just worked on using kind of just good arrangements. And since there's only like 2 melodic lines going at one time, using that to kind of help create chords. So we just really worked on like complex arrangements. Now we're just using a lot of backing tracks because I play a few other instruments as well. So I'll just track certain things that we can't actually play live, and then we'll use the tracks and play over top of that. So it kind of allows us to experiment a little more and just get a little more, I guess, dense arrangements. Yeah. But we stopped making the songs, I guess, so weird and complex because since we come from a jazz background, stuff was like odd meters, weird chord progressions, just typical jazz stuff. But now we're just trying to make it a little more accessible, just for everyday listener, make sure that it's catchy first.
Yeah, it's interesting. We were sort of talking about this. Alan and I were talking about this. No, I'm so sorry. Brittany and I were talking about this about Alan on the music review show, and I wish that you guys were there to answer it. And so now here's your chance. Jazz and rap is sort of unique for reasons that I don't quite understand, because if you look at the history of things, jazz and different elements of hip hop and rap and all of that, R&B, are very similar with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think not a whole lot of people are doing this sort of mixing and mashing of jazz and hip hop that you guys are able to do so amazingly?
I would say simply because it's difficult to do.
Yeah.
Because it really has to kind of come from a musician's sort of point of view. Like it's very helpful if you actually play an instrument and
Sure.
actively play
That
jazz.
and what you listen to in general, like a lot of like older groups, like if you take like a Tribe Called Quest, like
Mm-hmm.
they're out there, like they were listening, and like other artists in the 90s and whatnot, going to listen to certain records, like go record shopping and whatnot to listen to these records. But that was when everyone was sampling a whole ton. So that's just like a jazz mindset. Like that's what you were listening to. But nowadays, since rap has evolved so much since then, like kids my age, like I'm 19, but like kids my age aren't really listening to jazz like that. So I guess it just...
Does that make it harder for you to hold on to what you want to do, or does it make you want to keep doing what you're doing easier because you sort of found like a niche that no one else is able to not compete with in a negative way, but just sort of like do as well?
I wouldn't say it makes it difficult. We just kind of almost take it as a challenge and just try and flip it and make it modern, because like we like the meshing of the jazz and hip hop, but at the same time we don't want to keep doing the same thing that's already been done over and over. So we kind of want to take what they were doing and just bring a fresh approach, I guess.
Okay. So I have Black Suburbia open on my computer here. I'd love to listen to one of the tracks. Is there a song we listened to Down before on the first podcast that you were with? Is there any of the other songs that you would like to talk about?
One of Black Suburbia, actually.
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay.
Black Suburbia.
Sure. You want to listen to it first and then talk about it, or you want to sort of give people an idea of what we're going to listen to?
We can listen to it and then talk about it.
All right, here it is. Black Suburbia, A Love Story.
What's on your mind? That look in your eye, so dissatisfied. I said, wait. I think that it's time for you to realize that I really tried.
Whoa, okay, hold up, wait up a minute. I don't get it. Is you playing? Are you serious? You ain't picking up your phone. You say you feel alone, but I ain't seen you in a minute. And I don't know what's going on with you. It's true, but that's cause you don't ever tell me. Well, see, if I really didn't care, do you really think that I'll be in your hair?
What's up? Why you so fed up? Say you had enough.
Yeah.
And what
can I do when you and that's me? How I'm supposed to be with you? I could be your man, baby, that's so loose. I know this is a plan, and even with my mood like
I'm so confused, don't know what to do.
I remember when we
But
did
you
the No
know
on the
that
Road.
I'm
That was so much
always
fun
there
singing this
for
with you.
I'm so confused, don't know what to do. But you know I'm always there for you. I'm so confused.
that's Bravo on the hook, by the way.
But you know that I'm always there for you. I'm so confused, don't know what to do. But you know I'm always there for you.
Okay, first things first,
verse, you don't even know the basics. Basically, you wouldn't understand the phrases. These phrases are the main thing driving me crazy. Attention, attention, you're not paying a visit to my commitment. I'm sitting attentively, but listen, chains do not come off when they got locks, but that's just common sense. And I see you in a lonely place. Tell me, how could you be so blind? Say, darling, open your eyes, cause the fact is that you're on my mind. Please pick up your phone, cause I'm on your line. Maybe even when I really be on my grind, if it's on your time. But I've been waiting. Sometimes I get impatient, but see, that kinda complicated me and my relationships that never made it. I've been feeling stressed and a little jaded, but the loneliness is a bit contagious. That might sound outrageous to some people. I know you thought that you knew about the thoughts of mine. Though I deal right with the real life, and even in the times when I know that it feel like
I'm so confused, don't know what to do, but you know that I'm always there for you. I'm so confused, don't know what to do, but you know I'm always there for you. So confused. I'm so confused, don't know what to do, but you know that I'm always there for you. I'm so confused, don't know what to do, but you know I'm always there for you. I'm so confused.
So I didn't realize until the last 30 seconds that was So Confused and not Black Suburbia, and I'm really sorry. I just I hit the wrong button. I'm really sorry. So we'll play Black Suburbia next, I promise. But that does sort of allow us to talk about Ricky Mitchell, who's just
That's good. 'Cause,
ripping it.
So Confused, like, put side by side with Black Suburbia actually works out very well in explaining the project itself.
Okay, great.
But So Confused, if you start from there, it's essentially a rocky relationship is probably the best way to put it there. And I think what I wanted to do at first with my project, when we were like literally just trying to figure out what sound we were looking for, I was just like, all right, we're just gonna make some songs and we're gonna put it on the project. But then by like I don't even know how many beats we were in by that time, but I was like, the lyrics I wrote so far kind of match up with the other songs on here, so I was like, hold on, we might have something here. So with So Confused, I'm starting off as like communication issues, I suppose, and throughout the project you kind of see what led up to the point of So Confused. So if you go from So Confused and then flash back, you essentially flash back as soon as you move from the next song until you reach probably Reflections, and then you pretty much will understand it if you're listening. But we got Bravo and Ricky Mitchell on there, who was killing it on guitar. I'm extremely happy that he got on that.
Yeah, talk to me a little bit about how you what was the process? I mean, obviously, I guess you wanted someone to play guitar. It's hard for me to think of anyone better at guitar in Richland County than Ricky Mitchell. But what was the process in going after him, I guess?
We actually met him. We're playing a benefit show at Aurelio's over at La Luna. And we were just kind of complimenting each other's projects because we had never seen them play. They had never seen us play, and they were just really dope.
So you saw the whole Yak Back?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And he actually came and talked to me after the show, just asking if I kind of wanted to like record some drums sometime for him. So I mean, we always kind of had that in the back of our head. But when it came time to work on this project, we were listening to the song and we were just like, it needs something else here. And I play a little guitar, but not to that extent. So I was like, we definitely need to hit somebody up. So I had Alan hit up Ricky, and he was totally down. And literally like a few days later, he had sent the tracks back.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be helpful that he can record himself so well
Definitely.
as well. That's definitely an added bonus. Talk to me a little bit more about how you go about writing your lyrics, because to me that just seems impossible because it's obviously not what I do for a living. But I mean, the first things first, hear the basics. Like that whole line to me is just so great. Does it start out as freestyle? Because that's the way it kind of sounds, and then you just fall in love with how it sounds, and you record yourself doing it. Like what's that process like for rappers?
A lot of times I freestyle personally when I first Aaron will finish making a beat, or even while he's in the process of making a beat, I'll sit there with him and we'll just kind of be like, oh, this sounds cool here, or why don't we try something like this? Like with Ricky, I was like at the very beginning, we were like, why don't put in some chicken grease type chicken, so we were just like, all right, there's that. But as far as lyrics, a lot of times I start off freestyling until I kind of think of a concept with this project. Depending on the time that I wrote the song, I had a concept in mind before even writing it. But with earlier songs, like Right Now, that was a lot of just rapping, just rapping. Like we were just freestyling, and then I would write down what I thought sounded cool. So kind of depends on the song. If I'm like, all right, let's go for bars or metaphors in this one, or do I want to tell a story? With So Confused, it's more of a story rather than the bars.
Gotcha. Cool. And from the producer's side, can you talk to me a little bit about what Alan was talking about with making beats and stuff, just because I've never done that process. So what's I'm imagining that your first sort of things you have to think about before you really even start building the Lego project or whatever is the foundation. So you got to figure out how what the tempo is or what the rhythm is going to be like. Am I assuming correctly there?
Yeah. I mean, really, because we started trying to essentially pick a sound 3 years ago. So I mean, I was just making beats upon beats. We had 50 beats put together that got thrown away before we really kind of honed in on the 12 beats that we wanted to use on this project. But essentially, you just kind of hear a melody, have an idea, hear a rhythm, and then I'll put that down and then just kind of build upon that. But I guess what kind of separates that process from just general beat making, where you'll make a track and then email it to somebody and that's the last you hear of it until the song actually comes out, and then really producing is just I was actually physically there while he was writing lyrics and actually tracking the vocals, and I may have even had some lyrical ideas, or at least ideas about cadences or where things are supposed to go, that sort of a thing. So I guess that kind of helps add to the process if you have somebody that not only is able to make the beat but knows what the finished product should sound like and can kind of help coach to kind of make just the best possible song that you can.
A lot of lyrics, certain lyrics, even in Down, I'm trying to think of where in the first verse, we changed just essentially the way I said a specific line, so that way it would fit in better with it, because it was kind of hard to say but get it clear on a record.
Right.
Because I mean, on stage or live, it's totally different from when you're up recording towards a mic and you can hear literally everything that's coming into the ear, everything that's coming out your mouth. So there's a lot of lyrics where we would tweak it just so it would fit in.
That's really interesting. That's something I'd never thought about in terms of making a record more clear, because I guess obviously when you're listening to a record, it's sort of like a permanent stamp, right?
Yeah.
Whereas live performance, you can sort of get away with flubbing the words or forgetting the words and making up new ones. I do that all the time. Talk to me a little bit, because I've seen professional shows. I've seen professional rappers, and it just is not as much fun as listening to the records. Because I think that it's just harder. I think even on a professional standpoint, I just I'm trying to think of musicians that I've seen, and I just can't think of their names right now. But it just seems like at some point it's just going over karaoke tracks, and not to be disrespectful at all, but I think the coolest thing about your act as Kid Kulture is that you pretty much only, as far as I know, perform with a live band, the trio, and I just think that makes the whole experience so much cooler. Can you talk to me a little bit about the differences between recording and performing live, and how much fun it is to play with a band like the Trio?
As far as the difference, I guess it's the experimentation with
Right.
live performances. Like,
Well, there's certainly more energy.
yeah. I'll tweak a lot of the ways that I say a specific line live. Like, I might, like, I don't know. Aaron and I both play drums, so when I say certain things to him, he pretty much gets it. But, like, a lot of times I'll do, like, a triplet flow, like, in samba. I'd be like, okay, well, I rock with the bass, but I'm not gonna say this. Smile when you zoom it. But sometimes, like, the actual line is da 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 da. But live, I might like I might make it triplet instead of like a 16th or whatnot.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that has to sort of make it
it's a
more
lot
fun
of
for you, too.
experimentation, but playing with them is so fun simply because we all pretty much we go to a similar place when we're thinking about playing. So. But we're all siblings, so we grew up together and we practice together. So I guess that just works.
Yeah, absolutely. Are you guys ready to hear Black Suburbia?
Yeah, sure.
All right, awesome. This is the right song, right?
Hey man, don't look. Look at that girl over there at the table. You saw her.
Yeah, this one actually kind of goes back to that sort of jazz rap thing we were talking about, because it was heavily inspired by like Tribe Called Quest and also like some Pharrell influence as well.
That's awesome. I can always hear Pharrell whenever you do your stuff. I can definitely hear it. So it's cool to know that like I'm right.
Honey, check it out, you got me mesmerized. You, like a fly in the wind, gently float down again and land on my mind. Shoot, so you the type of girl that can really make a brother say my. True. F-I-N-E, fine, tryna make you mine. I can't say that to her. Kobe. Let me try again. New year, dog. See the new girl, she caught my eye again. Whoa. Maybe she could be the one, we could have some fun. I'm out of line again, sorry. Being someone I'm not. Problem is that no one truly relates. Sometimes appearances are all that we got, but that reflection isn't showing my face, so I embrace the chase. It's on, I got to keep the pace, so I don't fall and hit the ground, so I don't fall and hit my face. You see, the race is like a treadmill, ain't got time to take a break. Though sometimes I feel like I should wait and wait. But once again, the chase is on. I got to keep the pace. Though sometimes whispers in my ears, so maybe you're not even here. You may be in a different state. My state of mind has yet to change. 'Cause I know someone feels the same.
This one takes place essentially after the breakup, so this one's all about essentially moving forward. At the beginning, my brother's talking to me saying, oh, you see that girl over there? Well, you should go talk to her. Like, move on. And I'm like, all right.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And I'm not saying I'm
so
not willing to understand,
me,
but I need
this
someone to
song
understand me.
is interesting because it's very different sounding than So Confused. And what I guess I mean by that is So Confused sort of sounds like a song that you would listen to on the radio. And this song, Black Suburbia, sounds more or less like one of those songs that only really big fans would know, or like a deep track or like whatever. Can you talk to me a little bit about your emphasis on both, and like, did you mean to make it that way, or I mean, maybe that's just how it turned out, but talk to me a little bit about the design of the song.
So Confused was definitely intended to be a single. I mean, we generally don't write with the intent of this song is going to be the big single, this song is just going to be a deep cut. But that was definitely the popular sounding track of the record. So that kind of mindset was definitely there. But for Black Suburbia, we kind of just wanted to have something jazzier, because sometimes if we were having issues sort of filling out the record, because we were at about like 10 or 11 tracks and we're like, it's missing something. We just kind of went through and looked to see what we already had. Like, this one's kind of got a poppier sound, this one's more trap oriented, this one's jazzier. Kind of just whatever we were missing, and we definitely didn't really have anything that was super jazzy on there. So this was like one of the last few tracks that we really worked on. But it was probably one of my favorite beats that we had kind of put together, just because it was something really different from what we were doing before. But it was definitely a direction that we wanted to move toward, which is why Get the Bag kind of sounds the way it does. Kind of has a trappier sound, but yet still really jazzy at the same time. So that'll definitely be an influence on like next stuff that we work on.
Awesome. I was listening not too long ago about it was a John Mayer interview, and I know that he's sort of thought of one way or another by people, but I really respect him as a thinker and a musician. And one of the things that he mentioned was that like all of his songs that he loves are not the ones that are played on the radio or loved by his fans, and it's because it's sort of a chance for him to sort of, he didn't say this, but show off is the way I interpreted it, his musical ability. And so that sort of sounds similar to what you're saying for Black Suburbia, is that it's a chance to show your skills. Oops, how do I turn this off? Play the skills, jazz wise and rapping ability wise and stuff like that. And so it was just interesting to me because I never really thought about it. I guess because I'm not John Mayer, that you can do things just for yourself when you reach a certain point. We talked about Get the Bag during that last song. Talk to me a little bit about that. That's the song that you guys have on Spotify, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that was because there was a lot of sampling and other stuff that
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
Black Suburbia is on Spotify, correct?
No,
It is not.
It's not. Okay. So you can find that on SoundCloud, which is how I just played it. But other than that, you can't get it anywhere else, correct?
I think it's Bandcamp,
Bandcamp. Okay.
but it's also free up there. So
Okay, awesome. So so talk to me about Get the Bag, because this is the new. It's the trio, but talk to me a little bit about it.
Basically with that, it kind of goes back to what Alan was talking about in the very beginning of the podcast. It's kind of more or less what we've been working on like the past year, just really kind of refining our sound. And we took like a good 5-month break just from playing shows, just so we could really record and practice and get more gear, just really kind of just tighten everything up. But it's essentially just making sure that essentially everything that we do actually counts, like not just playing mad shows just to do it, or just putting out 5 million songs just because you can. Because not to single anybody out, but like a lot of this year you saw a lot of rappers that were just putting out project after project, and there'd be like 21 songs on these projects, and 15 of them would be throwaways. It's like, why would you even put that out? Especially if you had an album like a month before or something like that. Like actually make your stuff kind of count for something. So that's really essentially what the meaning behind Get the Bag is.
Okay, cool. I'm glad you said that, and I guess I understand completely as the music reporter when people sort of just are only publishing things so that you can remember that they exist. I actually really appreciate that you're trying to sort of put a real emphasis on musicality. That's actually really awesome to hear. Is there anything that you'd like to say before we play it?
A lot of the lyrics, like if you go into the hook, like if I just said without anyone actually hearing the song, if I just said get the bag, get the bag, get the bag, it would probably sound like a lot of other types of songs from like trap artists or any sort of rap artists. But I don't know, with the lyrics from the verses, if you listen to it again, then you kind of get the deeper meaning behind it. So, yeah.
All right, well, we will listen to it, hopefully get the meanings, and talk about it.
Also, shouts to the Field Market and Simple Complex Deli.
Yeah, I was definitely going to bring up the Sasquatch.
You the question they gon' ask. I be like, you don't know me, you can kiss my. But we was only cooking in the lab, 'cause we was only trying to we was only trying to stop. Get the bag, 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 count a stack, flip a rack, take the tags on my back, get the bag, get the bag, I won't stop until I get a mill. Pockets big as Sasquatch from the field.
There it is.
Get the bag, 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 get the bag. They be like, Alan, how's it going? How y'all living? I ain't seen y'all at no shows. Y'all play the night in the building, and I be like, no, don't play the night, don't play, yo. But it's a reason why we just stay home. Close doors. It ain't hard to explain, but I wanna say, I'm in the zone. Who it's about? What do you know? When I can talk, I'm on the phone. This the culture gon' drop, bombing they don't. They wanna know if they can roll. Hop in the whip, we on the road. We do the dash, where reality to go. Back in the flash, foot on the gas, but only if we get to go. Do, re mi fa sol la ti do. But you ain't writing a new song. See, seem to think that it's under control. It's not, I chew, haha. Y'all let it run and I switch your flow. So it only goes to show if we play every show. Never refuse, no music to use. The question is who? Who is you? The question they gon' ask. I be like, you don't know me, you can kiss my. But we was only cooking in the lab, cause we was only trying to get the, we was only trying to get the bag, 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 count a stack, flip a rack, take the tags on my back, get the bag, get the bag. I won't stop until I get a mill. Paper pockets big as Sasquatch from the field. Get the bag, 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 get the bag. Okay, now don't get me wrong, we aren't in love with the money, but no fronting. How we gon' crack this here and settle for nothing? I mean, I put my soul in this thing. I got to get off of something and then dance till I feel better.
Better than ever, and everybody in for the record.
We just put effort into everything that go on a record. Recognize records, I reckon I'm recollecting a representation of you being rappers. So me say up in your own lane, and please don't sweat this technique too fresh. It's KIDKULT to the URE, A.K.A. MR. Way too clean. I'll drink concentric, yo. About to do our thing, back on my bull like B. Down so I make them sing, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. I decide right on your mind, cause we finna drop a bomb. So beastie, even that rock will wake up sleeping and BK brought a whopper to the table with this one. Alan think y'all really got him shaking with this one. Or maybe it was third, but I made it with this one. Word is bond, I'm James Pond, so cut the check or cut the lawn.
For real, cut my check. My paper. Dinero. Betty. Cash. Take your butt to the field market, get you a Sasquatch sandwich every Saturday.
Oh, you guys really love the Sasquatch.
I can't talk right now. I got chicken in my mouth, y'all. Excuse me. Excuse me. That's good.
Stop. Get the bag, 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 count a stack, flip a rack, take the tags on my back, get the bag, get the bag. I won't stop until I get a mill. Pockets big as Sasquatch from the field. Get the bag, 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 get the bag.
Are you guys gonna be able to get like free sandwiches for the rest of your life now, or is that their like official theme song for the Simple Complex Deli?
Tom actually texted me, the owner of
Right.
the Simple Complex Deli.
Yeah.
It was like the day that we released the song, and he was just super stoked that we even mentioned them in the track. But I'm literally there like once a week for lunch because I work kind of near there.
Yeah.
But-
Well, I'm there. I go 4 times a week. I've learned that other people have discovered how good the sandwich is.
Yeah,
So I have to get there like at 11, or otherwise it's gone.
for sure.
Yeah.
So sometimes I'll get it and then like put it in the fridge and come back to it. So no, I'm a huge fan of it. My favorite, or at least the most distinguished, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but my favorite part of the song, I think, is the trumpet punch there.
Yeah.
With the before the get the bag. What is your trumpeter's name?
Aiden, that's our
Is
younger
he your-
brother.
Okay, okay. So everyone in the trio is related?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought so. I just didn't want to assume anything. How important is it to have a trumpet like that in your repertoire now? Because you guys have, what is it, 4 or 5 members now, right? In it?
Technically, the trio is actually
It's
just 3
still
members.
3 of them.
Oh, they're just
but,
all
yeah.
additions. I see. Okay, cool. So yeah, but talk to me a little bit about having those additions then.
Really, it just kind of helps to add another layer.
Yeah.
Because even like with some of the songs on Black Suburbia, we'll do some just like live horn arrangements almost where they'll kind of break out of their normal roles that they'll serve within a track, and we'll just do these big stacked like horn arrangements. There's a song in particular called Reason Why. There's like a breakdown in that song.
Yeah, that's on Black Suburbia, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
We just kind of take that and really just build it up and make it sound like super epic when we play it live. But yeah, really just trying to add another layer to what we were already doing.
Yeah, and it just goes back to the sound evolving, actually. Especially with the trio, when Aiden started coming to play shows with us, like, over the summer and whatnot, I was like, this is really dope. But he started tracking a lot with us, too. So even on So Confused at the very end, he's on that and a whole ton of other stuff. So he's like that ghost member that shows up at shows too, but it's also on the tracks. But people are like, "Wait, is he a part of the trio?" And he's like, "That's our brother." Aiden.
Yeah, you had me fooled.
Yeah. So.
Well, that's cool. So is Get the Bag going to be a single for an upcoming record, or is that all we get for now?
No, we're actually we're doing another project like the first one the trio ever put out. Basically, Algington the Trio 2 is essentially what we're working on.
You guys hate that album.
Yeah.
The original
You're
one,
really
yes.
going to have to tell me why, because I love that album.
I won't say I hate it, but it's just not where
your
we're
brother
at
did.
currently.
On the Road, he said, "I hate this album." So I'm gonna need some explanation.
I don't know. I felt like some of the songs were just kind of whack, to be honest. Like, musically it was
That's
okay.
a good
but
thing usually.
I think, like, because we were really just getting started, like, around that time, like, I think that was my sophomore year, so I was, like, 15, but my freshman year when I had, like, first started rapping, like, actually started writing on paper, I just went downstairs and was like, "Hey, Aaron, make me a track," because I was just joking at the time. I'm like, "Hey, let's make a track," and then when they were like, "Hey, do you want to actually rap on this?" And so we put that there, which was a great opportunity. So we put out that first project, Al Jenkins and the Trio, and I really think, like, the original ideas were there, but we knew we wanted to grow a lot more, I guess, is why I shouldn't say I hate it, but I guess that's why we aren't trying to go back where it was. Since we've grown so much.
Yeah,
from it, so.
I think that's sort of a vital step for everyone. I mean, even Brady Jacquin, who's been on the show a couple of times, has told me that he doesn't like the songs that he currently has on his
And me
Spotify
personally, like, as far as, like, my rapping ability, like, I hate it personally because it's, like, my rap, like, some of those raps I find extremely cheesy on me personally. Like, our single Hot Air Balloons from that, I would never listen to again in my life, but.
Sure. Well, but I don't know. I feel like, I don't know. I just am such a huge fan of the trio and yours, Alan, that I don't know. I love that. I love that. I love everything you guys do. I mean, you guys know that. You've seen me drunk danced drunkenly way too many times for me to even really be embarrassed about it now, because it's a choice and it's a lifestyle. So.
No, I guess we're just harder on ourselves about it than everybody else. But
Sure, yeah. Well, is there any new shows that you have planned coming up that people can come watch you or dance drunk to you?
We've actually got one coming up Sunday over at Day Trip Studios.
Okay.
We're playing with Dive Bomb and who else is on that?
3-Week-Old Roses.
Okay.
Okay.
They're a touring band.
So that's this Sunday?
Yep.
Okay, so that would be after the podcast is going to run, but still that'll be a good show. I'm going to do my best to get there and take photos of it, but I can't make promises anymore because oftentimes by Sunday I'm just exhausted. But anything after that?
We got another one coming up. It's what, the 19th?
Yeah, that'll be next Saturday.
Okay. Where's that at?
Out at I don't know that they have an official name.
It was where Ontario Coffee Department was.
Okay, gotcha.
But there's going to be new owners now, essentially.
Okay.
But they're throwing a show.
Will there be bagels?
Can't say for sure. I've actually never been out there.
Oh, well, see, that's why it's no longer there. Okay, well, great. Well, I'm gonna end before I get myself in trouble. Thank you guys so much for coming out to the swinging by the Open Mic Podcast. It was a really great conversation, and I look forward to the next time.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah.